My father, at the age of 65, has only just received an entitlement to direct payments, even though he has had a long-standing disability and be deemed as disabled and a vulnerable adult for most of his life. I know it says in the direct payment things they have no legal time frame unless it's deemed as urgent, but even by their standards, 65 years is kind of taking that thing to a whole new level. He needed help with most aspects of his daily living, food prep, even deemed now as needing help with certain aspects of personal care, which he never got. He just had to struggle along because he didn't want his family doing it. The rest of the care fell onto the family to do, which, as you can imagine, probably caused a great deal of distress because who wants their family members being their care as well? At least he didn't. They forced my mother from the age of 15, she was effective as carer, because they failed to do their job adequately, or in fact they failed to do their job at all, which in my estimation, and it always will be to me, child slave labour. They expected a child to take up the slack so they didn't have to pay what this person was legally entitled to. And then, to make matters worse, many or all of his family members are also disabled, so they've effectively expected disabled people to care for disabled people because they didn't want to provide the care. And then when it came to the point when I was asking for care, or Mum was when we was all growing up, and then they said that it falls to the father to do it, so they can't provide support unless he's got a diagnosis. So they used their neglect to their full advantage again to manipulate a situation where they didn't have to pay, and left my mother struggle with several disabled children. They've also made it so that this has caused us not to be able to have a normal family relationship, and I don't know that we ever will do, even though the right to private family life again is a human right, but they've vitiated this human right on so many occasions I can't even count them. In fact, their lack of care and the fact that he felt that he was being neglected because my mother didn't have the time to give to him because she was run off her feet looking after several other people, has caused him to have alcohol issues. In large part, this has caused a number of damages, such as he can no longer barely walk and has to rely on a wheelchair at times. He has a brain thing that affects his balance. He also has diabetes, and this all could have been prevented if he'd had the right care, but instead they chose to bury their heads in the sand and leave my family get along with it, because the reality was that my family was just too expensive to have a quality of life in their estimation. So they sold us all down the river to accommodate their own evil agendas, in my opinion, which is all about saving money, at the same time keeping people quiet so that they don't speak up to keep their figures looking good, when in reality their figures are based around the fact that they intimidate people out of saying anything so it looks good on paper. But my father would tell you if he could their system is not only flawed, it's criminally neglectful, abusive, abhorrent, and there is no good thing to be had in the system. The only people that I've spoke to that have had a good word to say about social services around here are the people that have said, yeah, they like them because they leave them alone. And that is enough said, really. Thank you for listening.